Welcome back to Sir Renran's math tutorial. It is where learning math made easy, of course. Today we're going to continue with the part 4 of the lessons that we have in the previous video called solving quadratic equations. So we're gonna have another method today in our discussion. Okay, in a short way. So you copy, and our goal is to make this left side a trinomial. So maybe you will place a blank, then copy equal sign 0, and whatever is your third term here that makes your expression a trinomial is what you're going to add also in the left side. Always add, okay, to conserve the equation. Ayan. So what are we going to do so that we can fill out this blank? Okay, if you can recall, we have that formula 1/2 of b, okay, then raised to the power of 2, meaning we can give the third term by just simply getting the 1/2 of the b, then we have to square it. Here our b is 4, right? 4. Since b is 4, half of that is 2. Then say you will have here 1/2 of 4. Of course you have to raise it to 2. So 1/2 of 4 actually is 2, right? 2, then raised to 2, that's a 4. So that's what you are going to write here. That's what you're going to write here. So your third term is 4, so that's what you're going to add also. As you notice, guys, it becomes a perfect square trinomial. So that's why the method is called completing the squares, because the goal is the left side will become a perfect square trinomial, and the left side you're just going to simplify, the right side simplify. Okay, so when it becomes a perfect square trinomial, you can just easily write it in square of binomial as its factors, right? So you can rewrite that as a square of binomial. So that means you can write it this way. How to write the binomial from that? Your way of doing it in a short method is just simply get the square root of your first, which is x squared, so that's x, and then the square root of your third term, which is 4, so you have 2. Then you copy the sign of the second term. So you have now your binomial, square of binomial, which is just the same actually of x squared plus 4x plus 4. So equal to 0 plus 4 is 4. Okay, here in the completing of the squares, after you were able to make it complete and then you were able to write it in a square or binomial, what's next to do is you are going to employ or apply your method on extracting the square roots, because we're gonna do that here. So we will extract the square root both sides. Okay, so the square root of x plus 2 quantity, x plus 2 is the quantity x plus 2 raised to the second power is x plus 2. Alright, and then you have here the square root of 4, since 4 is a square. So you can easily get the square root, that is positive negative 2. Okay, so what are we going to do after that if we were able to get the square roots already? Ayan, so what you're going to do is, since you notice that there is still plus 2 in the left side, you need to isolate x by transposing 2 to the other side, and you can solve the 2x's. Alright, so you will do that here. That becomes x is equal to, when you transpose that 2, that becomes a minus 2, and then you write the plus minus 2, and that is how it looks now. Then you are going to separate now positive and negative 2 to solve for x's. So your first x is equal to negative 2, then the plus 2. Alright, and the other x, of course, if we're going to have a line, the other x is equal to negative 2 minus 2, because we have positive negative, that's the positive, that's the negative. Then you can now simplify it. So your x is 0. Alright, and the other side, your x is negative 4, putting together the negative numbers. Okay, so your solution, you have 0 and negative 4. These are your roots for that equation x squared plus 4x equals 0. Now let's proceed to the next given. Here it's a case to trinomial. When we say case to trinomial, or it's a is not equal to 1. So it's a is not equal to 1. So what are we going to do if the given quadratic equation it's a is not equal to 1? Okay. First is you are going to divide all terms by dot a. A here is 4, so a here is 4. What you do first is divide all terms by 4. So if you divide that by 4, you will have now x squared minus 5 over 4x. I hope you were able to follow. And then minus 6 over 4. Then that's equal to 0. Alright? Now it turns, the goal is we can rewrite it into an equation in which a should be 1, so that it will become easier for us to do the completing of the squares. Okay? Take note, in this one, your b is equal to the negative 5 over 4. Okay, you have to take note of that. Okay, so in the completing of the squares, you are going to do first transpose the constant to the other side. Okay, as you notice kanina, there's no constant. That's why we do not transpose anymore. Here we have a constant 6 over 4, or 3 or 3 halves if you are going to reduce that, but it could be. It's okay that you are not going to reduce it yet. So you have 5/4 x, and then diba, we have a blank here for the third term, and then we transpose 6, negative 6 over 4. That's a positive 6 over 4 in the other side. Okay, it becomes positive. Then whatever you add here is what you add in the other side. Alright, so how to get how to fill out, what to fill out here in the third term. So you know your b, and you have the formula 1/2 of the b, then raised to the power 2. That's what you're going to use all the time to get the third term here. Okay, so since our b is negative 5/4, so you're going to have that negative 5/4 and then raise it to 2. Therefore you have I'm going to write it in the other side, negative 5 raised over 8, because you're going to multiply 2 times 4. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5, and then you have now to raise it to the second power. Then after you raise it, that becomes positive 25 over 64, right? Because negative 5 squared is 25, 8 squared is 64. That's what you are going to write here. So you're going to write 25 over 64. So you may erase already this blank. Ayan. So erase that. And that you are going to write, excuse me, you're going to write 6 and 64, and on the right side to conserve the equation. Ayun, this one is already a PST. Okay, therefore you can write it in square of binomial. So you do it this way. All you have to do is get the square root. Since it's a PST, this is what we do. Square root of the first term, x, then the square root of 25 over 64 is a 5 over 8, and then you take the sign of the second. That's why it's a minus. Alright, second term, or the b. Okay, and then here what are we going to do to simplify it? Usually what you do is get the LCD, no? But we'll just make it similar by simply making the denominator of 6 over 4 a 64. Okay, what do you multiply to 4? Okay, what do you multiply to 4 to make it a 64? Anyone? Alright, what do you multiply to 4 to make it a 64? So you're going to multiply it with a 16, right? So 16 times 4 is a 64, so you can make the denominator 64. So what about the numerator? So what you multiply to your denominator should be multiplied also to your numerator. Okay, so what is 16 times 6? Alright, what is 16 times 6? So, papaisip, no? What is 16 times 6? In 4, you have 64. So, mag-add ka lang ng 32. That means you have 96, right? Okay, then you have 25 over 64. They become similar now. Simplify this first. Copy muna the left side. Your left side is x minus 5 over 8 squared. And so, you add the numerators. If you add the numerators, that's equal to 96 plus 25 is, of course, that is just 121. Then over 64. Okay, then it's fine because your next step is to extract the square roots already both sides since it's already a square binomial, and then simplified na po yung right side. So what you will do is do this. So copy x minus 5/8 squared equals 121 over 64. So extract the square root of both sides. Ayan. This one, pwede ka mag-cancel, no? But yeah, the same thing. If you say get the square root of a square, so the base remains the answer. So you have x. Ayan. It's already x minus 5/8 because we extract the square root of quantity x minus 5/8 squared. And then you will have here positive and negative. The square root of 121 is 11 and the square root of 64 is 8. Okay, so that's the square root of 121 over 64. Now you can transpose a negative 5/8 to the other side to isolate x. So since our goal is to solve for x, so you have x is equal to, and it's already in the other side, it becomes positive 5/8, and then you connect positive negative 18 over 8, and yet you are going to separate it to solve for your x's. So first x, you are going to divide it. So your first x is x equals 5/8 plus the plus 11 over 8. So therefore, your answer is 5 plus 11 is 16, right? So that is 16. I'm going to write it here. Sana makasya. So 16 over 8 or 2. So that's your answer here, your x, your first x. How did we get 16? 5 plus 11, 16. Then the denominator is 8, the same, so we just copy it. 16 over 8 is 2. Now let's go to the other side now. To solve for the other x, you have x equals 5/8. Then we'll have the negative 11 over 8 since we're done with the positive. So minus 11 over 8. And then that becomes, what is 5 minus 11? You have negative 6 over 8. Re-reduce mo yan, that is negative 3 over 4. Ayun, so that's your other x or other solution. So your solution, I'm just going to write it here. Okay, your solutions are 2 and negative 3/4. Please check. You can see, you just simply reduce it, right? Okay, that's it. That's how to answer a quadratic equation where a is not equal to 1 when you use completing of the squares. Again, it is called completing of the squares because the goal is we can make the left side a perfect square trinomial, and so we can write it as a square of binomial, and then we can do the square rooting or extracting of square roots. Here is another example which is easier because A here is 1. Compared here, A is not equal to 1. So there's a 4. So we need to divide all terms by the 4. Whatever is the number here that is not equal to 1 is what your divisor. Okay? Is what is your divisor. Here, do we need to divide? Not anymore because it's already 1. So you just go directly to the method, which is first you are going to transpose positive 8 to the right side by leaving a blank in the third term like this one. So it will become 6x plus a blank, okay, equals, pag i-transpose natin yung positive 8, it will become negative 8, then plus the blank. Blank, that is the same here, okay? The same to conserve it. So take note, we will get half of the b raised to 2 to get our third term. So our b is 6, so you're trying to say 1/2 of 6 and then raised to 2. So what is 1/2 of 6? That's a 3, then squared. That means our third term is 9. So you write here 9. You write here also 9. Okay? So then it becomes a PST. So if it is already PST, you write it in a square or binomial as a square or binomial. So how to get it, how to make it? Just get the square root of the first, x, square root of the last, that is 9, 3, the sign of the second, plus. Okay? And then simplify the right side, negative 8 plus 9, 1. And then what's the next? Of course, it's already written as a square of binomial and simplified na po yung right side. So you proceed to extracting its square roots, both sides. Okay, this one, the square root of quantity x plus 3 squared is x plus 3 equals, of course, the square root of 1. 1 is a square, so it could be a square, it could be a cube, so it is positive negative 1. Okay, again, positive negative 1. So next, you are going to transpose positive 3, so ma-isolate po natin si x. So that is x equals negative 3, then the plus minus 1. Then you have to separate now the plus minus 1 to get your x's. So x is equal to negative 3. Let's have first the plus. Ayun. And the other x is equal to negative 3 minus the 1. So simplify it. You have x equals negative 2. Alright, that is your first x. And your second x is equal to negative 4 since you just put together the two negative numbers. Therefore, you can write your solution, your roots as negative 2 and negative 4. Alright, that's how simple it is. I think you understand. If you have some doubts, you just review the video. Okay, so thank you so much everyone for paying attention, and for those new subscribers, special thanks to you, to our new subscribers. Let me enumerate it here. I have here Dorothy Angelica Ibarra, Joyce Emmanuel Pareja, Precious Ray Lumba, Jean Chloe Pilat, Princess Rihan Sulaiman, and then Princess Elaine Tan Langit, Carlin Rose Torres, and Brycer Nicole Bitas. Thank you so much for those. I was not able to shout out. I will have it in the next video. Bye bye.